Got an old Civic here. It needs the rear struts replaced. Let's go ahead and get it done. Alright, as you can see, the rear strut lives in there. There it is right there. And so it sits in the car like this, at this angle. So if we go in the trunk here, and if the camera would focus, yeah, right, where is it? Back right in here. We need to pull this panel back, so we're going to have to push the seat down, and there's a clip where this panel folds around. We got to pop that clip out, get this pack, or peeled back. We'll just peel it back and we'll be okay. Alright, with the seat folded down, you can see where this trim comes around right here. And there's a clip somewhere right in this area. If you push this back, you might be able to feel it, but it's stuck back in there pretty good. Easiest thing to do, we got to pop this piece out. There's just one bolt right at the bottom. Alright, well, forgot to hit record, but there's the bolt. It sits down in there, and then once we get it down, we can usually pop this thing up. It's stuck in there sometimes, but if we just lift it up, there we go. It's clipped in 3 different places, or 2 different places, plus the bolt. You can see when we pull it out, right there, that's where the bolt goes. And you can see it clips in right here, and then it clips in up here. We just got to put it in the same way. And where's the bolt hole? There it is, right down there where my finger is. But that gives us access to that little clip right there that we can pop out. Alright, this is the other side. And I don't know if you can see in there, but I got it right on the end there, right on the end of the bolt. So we'll just zip it out and promptly drop our socket and everything in there. Can we get it? Well, there's our socket. Then we're going to fish the bolt out of there. It's kind of tight. Pretty crappy design. Alright, I grabbed the other side and I already got it pulled back. You can see there's the strut. But this clip is the only thing holding it in. You can see I removed the piece of cardboard on the bottom there with the carpet. Got that out of there, but we'll just use our trim piece. We'll get it in place like that, and we'll try not to break it and pop it off. There it is, like that. Now I can move this out of the way. We should be able to just pull it down right there, pull it around there. Now we have access to our strut in the back. Alright, seeing as we're right here, let's take a 14, see if we can't loosen these up. Come on. Oh, there we go. And where's the other one? Alright, now they're ready to go. And just as a reminder, we're leaving this center bolt alone. That's what holds our spring in place. We're just going to loosen this one and the one in the back right here. Alright, looking at the back of the vehicle, there's your tailpipe. This hook right here. I'm going to go ahead and put the jack right on that hook. We're going to lift up the rear end. And from the rear wheel, if we go just in front of it a little bit, you see we got these brackets here. Those are reinforced brackets for our jack stands. Or a lift, obviously if we had a lift we'd put them right there. And there's one right on the other side right there. So once we jack the back of the vehicle up, I'll put my jack stands right here and right there. I'm not going to get under a vehicle without jack stands. Alright, as you can see from the front of the car, I have both front wheels chocked. There you can see, the vehicle's lifted up in the air and we got it on jack stands. And we'll go ahead and just give it a push, make sure it's not going to fall off those stands. Now we're good to go. Alright, taking a 19mm socket, I'm going to use my impact wrench, knock these lug nuts loose and get the wheel off. As always, if you don't have an impact, you're going to have to break these loose either when it's on the ground or put the emergency brake on so that the wheel doesn't move, which it is right now. And you can probably get them loose or have a buddy step on the brakes or something. now looking under here, we're going to get these two bolts off, this one and this one. And as you see, I already sprayed both sides. I sprayed the back side and the front side here with penetrating oil. It ain't going to do anything, but I still did it. And I'm going to use my impact to try to hammer them out. These things can get stuck in the bushings in here. They're fluted, so typically they do a pretty good job of not doing that, but you always take a chance on them getting stuck in there. So we'll see if we can't pop them out. 14 millimeter. Alright, thankfully they came loose. Come on. As you can see, both bolts are the same, and both bolts get rusty and nasty inside there. Well, I'll clean them up on the wire wheel. Alright. Now we'll come inside, and I'm going to take this bolt off, or nut, excuse me, nut, bolt, and we'll leave this one on, but you can see it's very loose. So we'll leave it right there, just like that for now. And now, because it's loose, well, it should be loose, we should be able to pop this down, or not. I should go get the correct pry bar, but I didn't feel like it. But yeah, all we can do is pop it out of there, and now you can see it's loose. We can bring this down a little bit. Just bring it to the outside. Now we'll take that nut that we left up on top, we'll take it off, we can pull this out. Alright, now all I'm going to do is hold this. Take the nut off. Now we can pop it out. There's our assembly. Alright, well, we got it here. That's what it looks like. And while I'm thinking of it, usually where the fork is down there and the two bolts up here, on this vehicle, they're usually right in line. So as long as these two are in line with that, you're good to go as far as installation wise. And then you see where the end of the spring is right there? It ends right there where the tip of my thumb is. This is always going to point to the left on these older Civics. And so it's going to point to the driver's side. So on this side, it's going to point to the inside of the vehicle. On the driver's side, it's going to actually point to the outside of the vehicle. So, but that always places our nut that's welded on here to the front of the car. Alright, as you can see, I got the bolts cleaned up. I got them full of fluid film so they won't seize in there anymore. And now they're ready to go back in. Alright, as you can see, I'm going to go with brand new strut assemblies, complete. That way, I don't, because all this stuff is old on this car, we'll just put all brand new in here. And you can see there's our warning, don't mess with that nut right there, you can get killed. There's usually a tag on here, tag on here says the vehicle height's going to be a little different, you know, after you install it, so give it a little time and then it'll settle down where it's supposed to be. These are from KYB, and there's the part number SR4042. And if I didn't mention it, they come with brand new nuts, mounting nuts for the top here. And both sides are the same, so it's the same part number left and right on the rear. When you replace the fronts, they have different part numbers, but the rear, they're the same. Alright, it's always a good idea. Take your parts, compare them, the old and new, make sure they're the same, which they are. And when you're dealing with struts, especially these complete assemblies, make sure everything is lined up just like the old one. We're good to go here. If on these rear ones, if they're off, if this mounting plate is off from the bottom here just a hair, you can usually, once you put it into place and get the nuts on top, you can usually twist this a hair just to get it to line up. I mean, not a ton, but you can move it just slightly. If it's way off, you're going to have to compress this spring and fix it. I've had to do that before, and I showed it in my other strut video. Alright, now I'm just going to take the strut assembly, fish it up into place, and then using my two brand new nuts, I'm just going to get them started on the top up there. And of course we want to make sure we're putting it in the right direction. So this welded nut needs to go to the front of the car, and on this, in the case of the passenger side, or the end of the spring needs to go to the inside or towards the left. And you can see all I did was hang it in place, put it up into the housing where it belongs. And then looking at the inside, you can see I got both nuts just started by hand, just a little bit. They're just barely threaded on there. Alright, now the fun part. We got to get this back in place and get our bolts in. Now, yeah, we can separate that and push this down. Come on, and get this one in place. And get it started by hand. You'll feel it when it starts by hand. Alright, we'll just get it started, but you can see I can still get half a finger inside there. Now we got to get this one lined up. Alright, now to get this lined up with this, the easiest thing I found to do, I'm going to put my jack right there and just jack it up into place until these holes line up, and then we'll get this bolt in. We got to jack it up anyway to do our final torque on all these so that we don't destroy the bushings, although it looks like these bushings have seen better days. But we don't want to destroy them today any further. So we'll jack it up, we'll get this bolt in, and then we'll jack it all the way up off the jack stand, and then we'll get get our final torque done. You can see where I have my jack. You can see I can move the jack to get this hole lined up. Not quite. And I can feel that that's started by hand. Alright, we'll just get it put down in there. You can see it's barely off the metal here. And I found that bolt doesn't like to line up unless we jack it up and get it towards the proper height. If we try to put this in down here, the bolt holes don't line up. Much easier to do it just like this. Now, I don't know if you can see, but right there, we're just off the jack stand. So now the suspension is fully loaded. So now we can tighten up all our fasteners to the final torque. And I'm going to use my impact just to bring these all the way in. And we'll go ahead and get them torqued. Alright, these bolts are both 40 foot-pounds. So we'll get them torqued to 40. Alright, now while we got the jack in place, we're going to go up top, and those two bolts up top are 36 foot-pounds, so we're going to torque them to the final torque of 36. Now, to make it a little easier, we'll just tack them down first. And if I can film with you guys in my way, I'll get these tightened down. $36 on the money. Yeah, 36.1. Alright, now that we have everything torqued down while it's at its proper ride height, now we can lower the jack. Alright, we'll take one final look. Pretty easy. We only got the two bolts right there. We got them both. We didn't leave any tools behind or anything. Actually, let me not forget my flashlight. And now we can lower the vehicle and then we'll get the interior put back together. Alright, before I forget, we'll torque these lug nuts to 80 foot-pounds. Alright, now we just got to put this back in place. Kind of just stretches around like that, and then the hole should line up right there. We'll grab our little trim piece and put it in. Alright, that's good to go. Now we just got to set this back in place. This is the top, and you can see there's a little plastic piece that kind of holds it in place and makes it so it doesn't rattle. There's one on the bottom, and then the bolt goes through right here. So we just need to hang it in place on right there, and we're right there, and then we'll get the bolt in place down there. You can see I have it set in place, and you can see I took my gloves off, so I have clean hands. The belt goes over the top like that and then goes underneath, so we just got to make sure this doesn't get caught up in there. But I just barely have it set into place, and then if you can see right there where my finger is, that's where the plastic piece goes down in there. And then the other one's covered up, but it goes in up there. Once you get them in place, you can see we should be able to pop it down and lock it into place. Now it's locked in, see that? Now we just got to reach through there and get that bolt back in place. I'm going to do that. It's no fun. When you take that out, you're not going to have fun putting it back in. Alright, as you can see, got the back all back together, got the interior all together. It's looking good. Well, there you go. Hope you enjoyed how I do the struts on these older Civics. And you got to watch out. Those two lower bolts can give you a lot of trouble because they can be seized in there depending on where you live. But hey, as always, if the video helped you out, you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Alright, little bonus footage. The reason I didn't show putting these bolts back in is because they were damaged. I don't know if you can see that. These things were cross-threaded in there. Don't cross-thread fasteners. Start them by hand, and you can feel. If they only go in one thread and then they're super tight, they're probably cross-threaded. Luckily, you know, I have a thread restore kit. This one's from Craftsman, 48 piece. It's rebranded. I can't remember who makes it. It's made in the USA, but it's rebranded. The tool trucks have it. But anyway, luckily, I keep spare bolts. Whenever I work on stuff, I just throw them in a bin. And I had the same one. so I'm able to fix it after restoring the threads. But just, you know, you got to do a job and then you get to go behind and fix other people's work. Don't be that guy. See? Turn it by hand. No cross thread.